Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Dani Watson, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of the Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place. Hello ladies, and welcome to this episode where I'm going to be touching upon a subject that really does resonate with me a lot, and that is the subject of guilt. Feeling guilty when we are pursuing our dreams. And this definitely resonates with me, especially since I've become a mother. So I actually started my business before I had children, but I definitely remember that feeling when my first daughter, Rafi, came along, of overwhelming amount of guilt. Because I remember thinking, she's such a teeny tiny baby and I wanted to spend all of my time with her. Yet at the same time, my business was just at this point of creating incredible momentum. And I didn't want that to slow down. And I loved my business. I still do. And I had all of these projects that I wanted to work on, but I felt so much guilt about giving any sort of time to my work, because at the back of my mind, I was saying, I just want to spend all of my time with my daughter. I need to be there for her. I want to be there for her. And so that's really where sort of the guilt kind of stemmed from for me. But I know it can show up in different ways for different people. Another thing that I also resonate with is the guilt of giving up something that you've already been working towards to pursue something else. I know many of our students in our coach training program really struggle with this, where they have been perhaps building up a career maybe in the corporate world, and they've been doing that for some time, and they realize that I would like to do something else. I would like to become a coach and start a coaching business, but I feel so guilty about stepping away from that career that I've already built. Okay, so I want to go into this a little bit more in this podcast episode because I know a lot of people perhaps resonate with this. And where I want to start, I was thinking about where does this kind of feeling of guilt come from? Like, where does it all start? And I think whenever we're looking for the root cause of something, we want to turn to our belief system. What do we believe that is causing us to feel this way? And when I started to ask myself this question, I realized that there's this belief that we can't have it all, especially as women, right? We're kind of led to believe that there has to be some degree of sacrifice. We simply cannot have it all. Okay, so if we want to be this hugely successful, wealthy, abundant, influential business owner, that must have to come at the cost of perhaps time with our family, time with our children. It's the belief that there's got to be some sort of give here. We cannot have it all. And this was something actually that I realized when I was kind of trying to pry into this feeling of guilt, because it's definitely shown up for me again recently. And I have, for those of you who've perhaps not been aware, so I have just recently had a new daughter. So she is now, at the time of recording this, she is around sort of 7 weeks old. And I've had in the back of my mind for a while, and in fact, I've already started working on it. I've started working on my second book. And since my daughter's come along, I have been, again, faced with this feeling of guilt, because I have really, really wanted to give more time and energy to my next book and start getting the wheels in motion for that to happen. But I keep telling myself, well, you know what? That can wait, because your daughter's only going to be so small for such a short period of time. I feel guilty for leaving her for just even 2 minutes, so I thought this book needs to be put on the back burner. And again, that action, or that decision rather, was very much driven from that place of guilt. Now, what was interesting was that I did actually write my first book when my daughter Rafi was a newborn. And what I would actually do is, while she was breastfeeding, I had this really cool breastfeeding cushion that sort of wrapped around me that I would sort of prop her up on. So I would be feeding, and I was actually just writing out chunks of my book on Google Docs on my phone. And that's largely how most of my book came about. So I know at the back of my mind that it is possible to have everything that we want. You know, I was there for my daughter. I was still able to pursue my dreams. Yet this belief of we cannot have it all still crept in. And I think I think it's often from how we're sort of taught, what we're kind of programmed to believe growing up. We're kind of led to believe that being successful is a struggle. Therefore, it becomes impossible to have both. And I think back to what I had seen within the corporate world when I worked within corporate, was that people were having to sacrifice, women and men as well, were having to sacrifice time with their family, time with their children in order to be successful. Okay, so there was very much this underlying vibe of we cannot have it all. Okay, so this feeling of guilt then kicks in, because what we're saying is, if I'm going to go all in on my dreams, somebody else is going to suffer. There has to be some sort of sacrifice there. And that sacrifice is perhaps going to look like me not spending enough time with my loved ones. And so that feeling of guilt straight away kicks in. And I think this is such a big one, because so many people, I imagine, will really kind of hold themselves back from going all in on their dreams because of this feeling of guilt. You know, they'll tell themselves, oh, well, when my kids get older, when I have more time, you know, then I'll make this happen. But the reality is that feeling of guilt will always be there. Because when you're doing something new, when you're pursuing your dreams, going all in on that is equally perhaps going to take you away a little bit from the people that you love. But we can help ourselves by reframing this belief so that it actually serves us. Okay? Because if this feeling of guilt is holding you back, telling yourself that I can't have it all is only going to worsen things. So, can you start to believe that we can, in fact, have it all? What if your belief system was telling you, I can be fully present for my loved ones. I can be there for them whenever they need me and give my full attention to them and still be able to go all in on my dreams? What if your belief system looked like that? What if you truly believed that you could have it all? You'd probably find that there was no room for that guilt, because you were never feeling like you were taking yourself away from somebody else to give it to your business, to give your time to your business. You know, if you believed you could have it all, you would therefore believe that you could be fully present for your loved ones and fully present for your business. And this belief is something that you can start to program your mind with. Just telling yourself every day, a very simple way to do this would be through an affirmation. I believe I can have it all. I believe I can be a brilliant mother, a brilliant wife, a brilliant friend, and also be hugely successful. I believe I can give my everything to all of my commitments and my dreams and still be successful at both. Okay, giving my time to one thing does not mean that I am, giving up my time on others. Okay, so how can you start to believe that you really can have it all? Now, something else that I found interesting when I started to really sort of dig into my feelings of guilt was it was often tied to what I thought other people would think of me. Okay, so if I was this super successful businesswoman and I had a family, I was worried that people would think, well, she's not a good mother. She's obviously could never be there for her kids because she's building this huge empire. A big part of that guilt was tied into the opinion of others. So for me, it wasn't just about reframing that belief. I believe I can have it all, it was also about letting go of what I thought other people may think. Okay? Detaching myself from the opinions of others. And when you do this, you will set yourself free. I promise you, a lot of your guilt you will find is actually intrinsically weaved into what you think others will think of you, how you think others will perceive you. Now, let's come back to this feeling of guilt when we have to give up something that we've perhaps worked hard for. So for me, my guilt was also sort of weaved into this narrative. I had worked very hard, going to university, going to law school to get a job within the legal world, thinking, that was going to be my path. And when I made the decision, the absolute decision, though, that this is not going to be my path anymore, there was a huge amount of guilt that came with that. I think partly guilty because I'd put that work in and I was just sort of giving that up. But again, that guilt was very much weaved in with the opinions of others. And in this example, it was actually the opinions of my parents. I felt incredibly guilty that I would in some way be letting them down because I'd worked so hard to build this career, ultimately to make them happy, okay, to make them proud of me. And I felt incredibly guilty that I was then almost taking that away from them. By doing something else, I was, giving up the thing that they felt so happy and so proud of. And I felt incredibly guilty as well because they'd helped me out so much, during my university years and I was a broke student, they helped me out with that. So yeah, there was a huge amount of guilt that I would then, be giving it up. I was also the first person in the whole of my family to go to university. And it was kind of like me saying, well, I've gone to uni, got this degree, and now I'm not even going to use it. Again, that made me feel really, really guilty. But like I said earlier, this guilt is entwined with the opinions of others. And you have to be willing to detach yourself from the opinions of others. Okay, and it's not to say that you don't care what other people think, because as humans we do. We naturally want to be accepted by our tribe. It's how we're hardwired. If we think back to when we lived in, tribal communities, if we were seen as, going against the grain, for us that would mean being expelled from the tribe, or even worse, it could mean being killed off by our tribes. So we're very much hardwired to want to conform, to make our tribe happy, to want to be accepted, to want to be validated by our tribe. So to simply say detach yourself from the opinions of others is not always so simple. So for me, it's not so much about I don't care what other people think, because we always will. For me, it's more about, okay, I care what other people think, but I'm never going to let their voice or their opinions speak louder than my own. And here's the thing, when you are so committed and so fired up by your path, by your dreams, when you are so excited about what you want to do, that passion will speak louder than anybody else's opinion on you, okay? How do we detach ourselves from the opinions of others? I believe it is by you owning your path and just fully embracing it and being so revved up about it that even the negative opinions cannot distract you from it. Okay? So if you find yourself being slightly distracted by the opinions of others, what can you do for yourself today that's going to get you more excited about your dreams? So it's going to get you more fired up. Maybe it's researching more about the path you want to take. Maybe it's, mapping out that vision board of what your life is going to look like when you've said yes to your dreams. The things that make you excited about what's in front of you, these are the things that you want to give more of your energy to. Now, something else that I definitely recognized when this feeling of guilt came up was that I was always assuming that by me going all in on my dreams, I was taking something away from others. Okay, so for me, it was mainly, okay, by me going all in on my dreams, I'm taking away my time and my energy from my loved ones. So I was very much looking at my dreams from this place of lack. Okay, somebody has to lose something for me to go all in on my dreams. And when we're in that energy of lack, we're just going to create more feelings of lack, more feelings of guilt. Okay, so how can we flip the switch on that? And for me, what really helped was thinking, who is going to gain because I go all in on my dreams? What are my loved ones going to gain from me by going all in on my dreams? So rather than thinking, I'm taking away myself, my time, my energy from my family, from my children, thinking about it in a positive way. What are they ultimately going to gain if I say yes to me? Because remember, we cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are just giving to everybody else and never serving yourself, the people you love are never going to get the best of you anyway. And I know wholeheartedly that I am so much of a better mother because I put myself and my dreams a priority, because I make those a priority. And I made those a priority, and because of that, I am able to show up for my loved ones in a much more powerful way. I'm so grateful that I did have my children once I'd started my business, because actually I think things would have looked very differently had it happened beforehand. Because before I started my business, I was deeply unfulfilled. Okay, I didn't really give any thought to my own dreams and desires. I was, doing what I felt I should do. I was miserable in that job. And I don't think in that situation, my children would have got the best of me. But now, because I've said yes to me, because I've made myself a priority, I am such a better version of me and can really bring that version of me to my loved ones, to my children. Okay, and I want to be an example of the life that I want my children to create for themselves as well. So if I start saying no to me, what am I therefore teaching my children? I'm telling my children, you've got to say no to your dreams. If you say yes to your dreams, you're going to have to make sacrifices. I don't want to be spreading that kind of narrative. So for me, I'm going to go all in on myself to therefore teach my children to do exactly the same for themselves in their lives. So I'd love to know, is guilt something that you struggle with as you are embarking on your path, embarking on your dreams? And what do you do to overcome it? How have you kind of helped yourself through those feelings of guilt? Let me know, reach out. You can find me on Instagram, Dani_Watson_coaching. Come and say hello there. I love hearing or reading your messages over on Instagram. So definitely come and say hello. I hope this episode inspired you or gave you some sort of wisdom today. And I very much look forward to catching up with you on the next episode. Bye, ladies. If you're wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.